Welcome to the Spaghetti Junction podcast. My name is Bruce,
My name's Gareth.
and we talk about things.
We just...
Don't know where they're going to go.
There we go. I was just making sure that you got it this time.
Episode 104.
I believe it's 4. Yes.
Awesome, man.
Yes.
Yesy.
We had quite a bit of fun on our last podcast.
It
about
was.
the
That was
furries and all.
Yes, my apologies for my untimely exit. From the
I was going to say demise, but that wasn't really what happened.
exit. Let's keep it.
Your exit, yeah, I think so. Did you see that there was a comment on there?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so you'll definitely know Aiden. Yes, you're aware of Aiden.
My student. Correct.
Yep. So underneath the furries video, he said, "I'm so glad that Bruce finally got to talk about his private side."
Awesome.
And then we replied, and now you know why we need monetization on the channel. He needs a full fursuit. So yes, yeah.
Shame. Aiden's so cool, and he unfortunately this week has let me know that he has to stop music lessons. He's my longest. He's the student who's been with me the longest, and it's just
that sucks.
Matric for him is just
it's matric.
nailing
Okay.
him, yeah, and he just
This whole end of school, you got to pass to become a better person of society and get an education afterwards and raise a family and then die unhappy. What? No, I'm kidding. Actually, no, you'll be happy. I'm talking about my life. It sounds like, anyways. No, it's actually yeah. No, that makes sense. Matric is a whole pain in the ass in itself.
Yeah, shame. These kids are really under a lot of pressure. Yes, I feel for them.
I mean, as you'll probably will know, is that I passed matric by like 2%. By 2%. If my maths mark was 2% lower, I would have been kept back into the school.
See,
But I think
I didn't take maths, so that helped me.
How'd you get out of doing maths?
It wasn't compulsory.
What? Maths
and
not compulsory.
I regret it now, but
What? I mean, I'm sure you can count a little bit. Like 1, 2.
No,
But I mean, come on. The question is, where would you actually use maths? I mean, besides, like knowing your normal, what's it? Multiplication, division, subscription. What's it?
It's
Multiple, division,
subtraction and addition.
subtraction, and positivity. What?
Addition. Positivity means something a hell of a lot, something else these days. I mean.
Oh, true. And addition, that's right. Like, where are you going to use freaking, those horrible calculators with the like random signs on it? The whole plus, sin, cos, all that kind of crap. Where are you going to use it? Unless you're going to be flying a plane, I think you're okay.
Well, it's anything. It's anything within the STEM fields. You need anything to do with STEM fields. You need.
What's the STEM field?
So it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You need any of those fields.
STEM.
Yes.
STEM.
So that's where you need science, maths, biology, any of that kind of stuff. So it's pretty important. So you can. So yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Well, you didn't need it in music. Like, what would you have used it for?
Well, you know what?
What would you have wanted to use it for?
I could have. The problem is that I kind of shot myself in the foot with regards to my options when it came to studying stuff.
Okay.
And if I look back now, if I could redo it, I would have taken maths and science for matric.
Okay.
So yeah. But anyway.
Well, I wouldn't worry. I took it, and I can't say that I've had to use extreme, that and accounting and so forth. It's. I mean, they will definitely work for a certain type of job,
Yes.
but for me, where I am, as long as I can count past 100, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. But no, I'm actually. When I look back at school, would I want to do it again? No. So, no matter, I look back at it and go, no, I'm not doing that again. I just didn't like school, dude. I really didn't.
Neither did I.
School sucks. I mean, not for Aiden. I hope you do really well and get a great job and live the dream.
He does very well. He's a very talented young kid in a lot of ways. He's musically, academically, all that. He's doing very well. It's just he's just snowed under with work.
Oh, okay. But now, weren't you saying to me that he was probably one of the most untalented guitarists that you taught? Oh, there wasn't that meant to. Oh, crap! We're recording.
Probably listening to this,
Oh well. I meant to say
he's one of the most naturally gifted.
Yeah. Those kind of people bug me. It's like I will practice and I will really do my best to do well, and then someone just sits down and plays, and it's like, come on, man, that's not fair.
What's very interesting, I'll tell you this though, is a lot of times the more naturally gifted people, the unnaturally gifted people work harder oftentimes and are oftentimes more successful than the people who have the natural ability.
Oh, really?
Because they have to work even because someone without someone doesn't have a natural talent, but they've got the passion and the drive to really work at it. There's a good chance that they'll go further.
Yeah, but some people can just sit down and play. Some of these phenomenal, I mean, I don't really have any names right now, but I've been with some people and they just sit and they can catch up a beat and they can be doing some ridiculous things. And it's possible also that they haven't been playing as, you know what it is? I feel that there's some people just have a certain gifting that not everybody has. It's just something that they will just be able to play at such a level. It just, as you say, it comes a lot more naturally than a high percentage, I would imagine.
Yeah, you get that in every single field. It doesn't have to just be creativity and art. You just get some people just get it better than others.
Yeah.
What is it?
And I hate them. I hate them all. No, I don't. I'm jealous, but that's all right. Well, that's all right.
Then work harder.
You see, but sometimes, okay, here's a good example.
Yeah.
You're working hard on your vocals,
yes,
but you cannot work any harder to make it sound like, I don't know, whichever musician you want to say. There's no ways that even if you work for the hardest for the rest of your life, your talent in singing is not going to be a talent of I feel that you can train and practice as hard as you can, but if you don't have that gifting, it's not going to be brilliant. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you can. You'll reach a
plateau.
Ceiling. Yeah,
absolutely. That's just how I see it.
But where is that plateau and where is that ceiling and how far can you push yourself? That's
wow.
discover your limitations and then break through them.
Break through to the other side. Yeah. Nice one. Well, without further ado, seeing as we started a little bit later, because I was basically trying to set up my mum with a bit of Disney Plus, and to do it from the other side of the world is just ridiculously hard, because no matter how hard I try to access the South African Disney Plus, Google is too clever. They know exactly where I am. So it was just never going to happen. So thanks for that.
Yeah, cool, man. No problem.
Right. So episode 104, we're going into a topic that I think we've spoken about a while ago, and then you brought it up recently. I was like, That's probably very pertinent.
Yeah, I think because of this, we can start off with the current with the most sort of pressing story that's happened in the news lately
Yep.
about this incredible amount of refugees that have come and without even trying, kind of taken over this tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea called Lampedusa, which
Lampedusa. Okay.
is which is an Italian island. It's part of
Yep.
the it's essentially Italian territory, and this is it's in the middle, basically between Tunisia and Italy in the Mediterranean Sea. So these migrants are all from Tunisia,
Okay.
sorry,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and they had 7,000 in 3 days, and that was a week ago.
7,000.
7,000. We're talking just boatloads suddenly descended.
Literally boatloads. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's a horrible slang that's been. Yeah. Carry on. Carry on. Sorry.
Exactly.
Carry on.
And it has now risen to 12,000 on this tiny island that has infrastructure to only really accommodate about 400 immigrants.
400.
Yeah, that's the amount of infrastructure that they can handle.
My word.
But they are now inundated with about 12,000 people. And whether it's carrying on even now, I don't know. I haven't looked at the latest statistics. And obviously, Lampedusa has a population of Italians, and they're obviously very understandably very upset, and they're very concerned about what's happening to where they live.
Are they upset
And
because they are Italians, or they're just upset?
jeez.
Sorry, you just made it sound like, and they're Italians, and they're obviously upset. Like, well, I would imagine no matter what race you are, but okay. Maybe they're a little bit more unhappy and are a lot more open with their feelings and emotions. Carry on. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, there's a military contingent, and even the military contingent they're not able to control this. And then you've got you do have sort of medical and human rights sort of people who are trying to help these people, but even they are just, it's almost like they can't handle the influx. And and now they don't know so now these people are literally stranded on this tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean. We don't know whether they're going to be sent on to Italy or whether Italy is going to send them back to Tunisia. We don't know. And so yeah, it's quite a serious crisis, because these people are just so desperate to get out of Tunisia and get to Europe, and now it's almost like they've gone from one bad situation to another.
Yeah, because I mean, what's going to happen with them in the sense of food and places to stay? And I mean, they can obviously not long term live there, because it's just not made for anybody else.
Yeah. So now we're gonna have to see which of the countries within the European Union are going to pledge aid, support, transport, and see what sort of, and obviously those countries are also dealing with their immigration crises of their own, So, and this is why this whole European immigration thing has become such a big deal ever since it started with all the immigration from Syria in 2011, because of all the conflicts happening in Syria, and now we're seeing sort of the African side of things, people trying to get out of the African countries and moving up into Europe.
Okay,
pretty crazy. When you're sitting in a country when you're kind of on the outside looking in, you're like, whoa, okay. These are first world problems.
Yeah. And I'm reading up a bit, and this is only like in 2 days. This is in March only. But there was a migrant boat, a Tunisian migrant boat disaster when 5 killed when one of the boats sank, and about 3 days later another 29 sub-Saharan Africans were also killed when the boats sunk off the coast. And I don't know how much you know about how it's done, as to like how do they get a place on boats and so forth. But how it works, I mean, obviously not everywhere, but this is a generalization, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them are very similar to this. It's pretty much where I guess you can use the word cartel, or no, not really a cartel.
Smuggler.
No, sorry, no, not a cartel. Yeah, it's a group. Yeah, exactly. And you have to pay a certain amount of money, and it's normally a few $1,000s. It's normally you would pay. It's not cheap. It's a few $1,000s to get you on the boat, and there's obviously no guarantee on your safety, and a lot of the migrants have saved up like quite a lot of money, just to get themselves on the boat, kind of thing, or they borrowed or whatever kind of thing. I mean, it's not just like like a bunch of migrants just arrive at the dock and say, hey, I want to go to Italy. It's pretty much, it's a payment thing. And if you don't pay, well, sure, but you're not gonna. And also, I was reading as well that a lot of the smugglers or networks, whatever they are, they will make these elaborate promises, that if you pay us, this amount on this side, we can guarantee you that when you get, for example, to Italy, there will be people there who will assist you and find you work and find you a place to stay, which obviously you can never promise that.
No.
But the bigger the promise, then the bigger the amount of people that want to take the risk. And they will obviously know the risks. They know that there's a high chance, or there's a decent chance, that between, for example, Tunisia and Italy, that the boat may go down. That there could be issues. I remember. Sorry, and I'll let you go back to to your Italy one.
Yeah, cool.
This happened? I think it was maybe 2 years back, maybe even less than that, in the UK, in Europe, where there was a smuggling group that had brought immigrants, and I believe they were getting brought into the UK, and the police, caught onto a certain, amount. I mean, a certain group, and they basically tracked down three bigger trucks. Those like really long ones, the freighters, whatever they're called. And within, oh man, I cannot tell you how many, but there were multiple deaths in there because people had no food or water, or the air circulation there was almost like none at all. And I remember that that was a huge thing, and it just shows the absolute risk that people are still going to put themselves through just for that one possible chance that they can get a new life, a new, not exciting, but a safer world.
Yeah.
And the fact that they will know that there's no guarantee that they will end up at the final destination.
No, there isn't. I mean, I was just looking. I looked back and at the Syrian refugees and how they moved from Syria, and which in my mind, it seems to me like that sort of started almost like the new refugee crisis of the world, because like I said, in 2011 it started, where around 14 million people were displaced and affected because of everything happening in
Yes,
Syria.
in Syria, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
And then people were just so desperate. And I had a look at, so I thought, okay, you're in Syria and you want to get to Europe, okay?
Yeah,
So good old Google Maps, and I took a look at Google Maps, and I looked at how to, obviously there's no ocean crossings, so there's that.
yeah,
But you can go overland, but the distance and the amount of countries that you need to get through in order to get from Syria to Europe is unbelievable. And I'm just because you've got to start in Syria and you've got to go to Turkey, you've got to go north to Turkey, and then
north. Okay,
yeah, and then you've got to start heading west towards Bulgaria or Greece. You've got to get through Macedonia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Bosnia, all of these places, Croatia, Slovenia, just to get just to get around the Adriatic Sea, where Italy is, and then head more west to get through to places like Italy and into France. And then if you're trying to get into England, obviously try and make it across the channel to get to England. It's an incredibly, so I'm not surprised that it's such an arduous journey. And but you've got to give a lot of these refugees the respect to actually make that journey, because
well, that just shows how, I would say, how desperate most of them are.
Yep.
Because I mean, absolutely. It's a guarantee that no one sits down and says, you know what, in my lifetime, I want to be able to risk my life, risk my family's life, give away all the money that I have, in the absolute hope that I will arrive somewhere, and then have a place to stay and have a job. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in the sense, yeah, I know you've got to give them credit, but it's actually more than that. I think, it's a thing out of necessity, and I think when you're doing something out of a necessity, you just get it done.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. What my biggest concern now is looking at how these European countries, it doesn't really look like they're able to handle this in the greater scheme of things. They're getting inundated with so many refugees, and yes, a lot of them opened when the Syrian thing happened.
Yes,
so many of the European countries, you're more sort of, and mainly the countries of the European Union, which are the more liberal European countries.
Yes,
they kind of almost just opened their borders freely, and I've got a feeling that was a bit of a mistake, to be so free with opening their borders. And now they're seeing an influx that they can't really handle, as a country. Now they're going, maybe we shouldn't have been so open, and we should have controlled this a little bit more. And now they're seeing that they made a bit of a mistake with it, because it doesn't seem like any of the European countries really have a lot of sort of solutions to what they're actually going to do now with the amount of immigrants.
But now, if you were in that situation, I know it's I mean, it's a hypothetical thing, but I mean, imagine being in leadership, because this whole this thing of of immigrants, I don't think it's going to end.
No, it's not.
There are always wars going on. There are always negative things affecting, and it's obviously like third world countries, or is that fair to say?
Yes.
I think it's fair to say. So that's always going to be happening, and obviously as our population number grows, comes with more and more migration and so forth. Um, not yeah, migrants and so forth. So the question really would be as to like, well, what do you do?
Yeah, that's the
Because I
thing.
mean, an example that we discussed quite a while ago. Well, I mean, it happened, I think, a year ago in the States, but between the states, they have their own separate laws sometimes, which is also just, I don't understand it. But anyways, because they do say that they are the United States, but they're actually not united at all. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
oh, definitely not
Let's
now.
be honest.
Not
No,
now.
they're not. No, yeah, with all this. So, so
And that's
there was
subject for another podcast.
yeah, exactly. So there was a conversation that we had about there was think it was a few hundred. Okay, I'm going to get my numbers wrong possibly, but there was quite a I'm not sure. Let me just maybe less than 100, but there was I think 2 or 3 busloads of illegal immigrants in the States, and I think they arrived. I think they came through New York, and they were dumped. They were literally dropped off in this very affluent little town, and I really don't know in which state it was. Sorry, but anyways, but they were dropped off in this little-ish, like a very well-off area, and they were just, dropped off. I think they had like a sandwich and a drink, and that was it. There were no plans. There was nothing set up, because from what I understand, they, the place where they were dropped off, they were never warned about it. They were never told about it. There was no planning for it, because it just wasn't a feasible option. And it was definitely done underneath the auspices of one of the governors, I believe from New York. And I could be very much wrong. And if I am, well, that's okay. But I know that the governor of one of the states was very much aware of it, and they dropped them off, almost like in South Africa they would have been dropped off in Killarney, for example, just like dumped there, like 3 busloads of illegal immigrants. Well, I think they had a sandwich and a drink, and that they were basically promised, a job and a place to stay. And obviously, if it happened in Killarney, well, that would be a whole. That's just for people who live in South Africa. That's yeah. In New Zealand, I don't even know where there's richer areas in New Zealand, so I can't really say. I haven't been here long enough to really know that. Anyways, the point being that they were just dumped there, and basically, the residents there had to rally together and try and set up some form of some form of accommodation and food. I don't know where it went after that, but I think, if I'm correct, that they were sent back. They were sent back, with do not return little stamp on each of their heads. No, they didn't do that. The point being that they were sent back, but it just shows how cutthroat it can be. The whole immigration, the whole illegal immigrants subject, and what happens, I think, is it's a loaded thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So one of the stats that I heard about Germany is that Germany was also one of the very much more sort of liberal countries that opened their borders a lot to a lot of immigrants. They have rejected over 250,000 applications for asylum.
Okay.
But they've only managed to remove 8,000 of those illegal immigrants. So you're an immigrant, you get rejected, you get told, no, sorry, you must leave.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to. I mean, how are you going to stop 250,000 people from
That's a
staying
quarter
in
of
your
a
country?
million.
exactly. And so you've got, and these a lot of these European countries are not big. So you've got this influx of now of people who are like, well, okay, you told me I'm not allowed to go, but I mean, okay, what are you going to do about
What
it?
do I do? Yeah.
You know, and that becomes then much more of a strain on every single aspect of your country's infrastructure,
Yes.
because you're not your a European country is not designed. They didn't go, well, let's form this country and let's just think in about 40 years, we're going to have this influx of serious migrants. We need to make plans for that. No, they didn't. You know,
Yeah.
so now they're stuck, and because of, and this is where I believe some these European countries, a lot of them, especially in the European Union, have been, there is such a thing as being too liberal and too lenient, and not going, listen, hold on, let's just think about this before we decide to just be completely free and open. And then you do have some of the two countries within the European Union that have taken quite a hard line and have upset a lot of the rest of the European Union, and that was Poland and Hungary.
Okay.
And they've basically said, just no, we will not let immigrants into our country, and they've taken a really hard line of it. They were like, nope, we're just saying no. No is a complete sentence. We will not do it. No, but let's discuss. No, we will not do it. And they're still part of the European Union. So because they are obligated as part of the European Union to work with the rest of the countries and to agree with policies and blah, blah, blah. So when you go against that, you start, like, well, why did you want to be part of the European Union in the first place? Kind of thing. I think it was Slovenia or Slovakia. I just want to check something here quickly.
Yeah. And then I'll bring in the UK.
Yes, it was Slovakia. Basically, Slovakia's Prime Minister, Robert Fico, he said that his country would only accept Christian refugees.
No way.
As it would be a false solidarity to force Muslims to settle in a country without a single mosque. So there are no mosques, no Muslim mosques in Slovakia.
Well, a mosque is normally Muslim, but carry on.
I know.
I mean, I see your point, though, yes. Carry on. I'm just being facetious. Carry on.
As soon as I said that, I realized, yeah, okay, he's probably... and so his thing is like, well, why would we have Muslims in our country if there are no places for them to worship? I mean, so he said that, and
is that that's his
line
his way of seeing it. That's his line.
So okay. Slovenia is part of the European Union, but he's saying, okay, he's putting policies in place, going, yes, we'll take in refugees, but we'll only take certain refugees. We don't take.
And how are they going to prove that somebody is a Christian or not?
And I mean, sorry, but I mean, you're coming from the Middle East. How many of those are going to be Christians?
Yeah, well, that's obviously why he's made that choice.
Exactly right. So
can I bring in the UK?
Oh, please do. Let's talk about England.
I will give you, and this is the latest illegal migration bill that was updated on the 20th of July this year. So it's pretty fresh.
Cool.
All right. So they're going to, so this is going to break down a bit of what they're doing. And it's just, there's a phrasing which is being used by the Prime Minister there, and I'm going to get it wrong, but it's something about keep them on the boat or something along those lines. And this is, so don't quote me, but it's something along the lines of that they are going to reach the boats before the boats reach the country. So, they say, what are we going to do? So this is the bill. The illegal migration bill will change the law to make it unambiguously clear that if you enter the UK illegally, you should not be able to remain there. Right. Instead, you will be detained and promptly removed either to your home country or to a safe country where asylum claim will be considered. You will no longer be able to frustrate removal attempts with late or spurious legal challenges or appeals, and once removed, you will have no right to re-entry, settlement, or citizenship. The only way to come to the UK for asylum will be through safe and legal routes, and as we get a grip on illegal migration, we will create more of those routes. We will work with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to identify those who are in most need so that the UK remains a safe haven for the most vulnerable. We will also introduce an annual cap on numbers set by Parliament in consultation with local authorities to determine our capacity and amendable in the face of humanitarian emergencies. One or two things out of that. This is some reasons why they're saying why they are doing it. They say that the UK asylum system is broken. The numbers arriving on small boats in 2022 exceeded 45,700, which is a 60% increase on the 28,500 who arrived in 2021. And then they do things like, the journeys are extremely dangerous. They say these journeys are also unnecessary. And they're saying, as those making these crossings are coming from safe countries such as France, where they could have claimed asylum. And there's a whole pile more than that. But they're pretty much saying, we see you and we're going to stop you and we're going to make sure that we have all the laws in place that will pretty much never allow you to come in the country. They have this whole thing as well. And, what I mentioned is where they can actually find out where the boats are and stop them mid-sea. So they stop them before they even reach the UK shores. And they either send them or I don't know how they do it, if they can actually do it. But they say is that they will send them back to their countries or pass them on to third, I think they're called third countries, meaning that there are countries that may accept them. Yes. But they're pretty much going to a point, and this is also what Australia used. In fact, one of the prime ministers used that certain phrasing as well that's being used by the UK prime minister. I had it up in front of me. Sorry, I don't know where it is right now. But they're basically using the same slogan that the prime that prime minister of Australia he used, and he got elected. A lot of the reason because of that. It's something along the lines of keep them on the boats. Basically saying, we will not allow them into the country. We are going to circumnavigate that, and we're actually going to stop them like on the water, basically.
Well, I hope that they're able to enforce it, because at the moment, England has not done very well with keeping people from their shores. The boats have been arriving along the shores from France for ages now, and they can't handle it. So hopefully this new law actually, I don't know, gives the British Navy some teeth, because this is the problem with England, and this is why they're sitting in the position that they're sitting, is they're such a nanny state. And they're so nice to everybody, and now they're sitting with this issue. So they finally realized, like, oh, maybe this is a problem, and so let's just see if they're. You can put something into law, but as long as you've got to enforce it. So let's see if.
Well, some people have. Well, I mean, some of the human rights organizations have actually called it a draconian law. No, because hear it out before you do that. Human rights wise, if you want to use the word human rights, it is not, because how does it help if you find them halfway across the ocean and you send them back to where they came from? That's not helping the process at all. It's just basically saying, okay, you've just come from a burning volcano where you just survived, but because we don't want to have some form of, but because, look, I see your point, but it's a very negative, aggressive stance that the UK are taking, number one, and number two, they are now trying to fob them off to other nations. And they're basically saying that within this human rights issues, we are washing our hands. In fact, we're making sure that our hands are, that we do absolutely nothing, and passing them off, for example, to a third country that may or may not look after them. So I do hear your side. It's an approach of doing it. But if every country is trying to assist, because as we say, this is not going to stop. And I like how they say, that they will only take like certain people, So to me, it's we'll see what happens with it, but it is quite aggressive. And the concern is, could the UK end up over time becoming what Australia became? I think they're trying to fix it. But how they were known and how they became, with that was their first major thing, keep them on the boats. So what happens if they can't keep them on the boats? Well, and they're crossing, into the UK or into their waters. So they pretty much have made it clear, no, we won't let in anybody. Well, what if they do? In Australia, they had a point where they actually had what are they called? Black sites. Basically where they would, take people and you wouldn't know where they are, because if it actually came up on the news, oh my gosh, we have refugees, it may cause a lot of issues. So rather than to ruffle the boat, ruffle the boat, my bad, ruffle feathers, ruffle the boat.
Ruffle the feathers and rock the boat.
Those two, thank you very much. You would then have to have a system where you do your utmost best for your population, for your citizens to never hear that you have immigrants, because that's one of the reasons why they elected, certain people into parliament.
Right.
And there is a concern that may happen in the UK. That they can actually get to a point where, where there are migrants just disappearing.
Yeah.
And that is part of the concern. So yes, it's a thought out, what's it called? Piece of legislation. But humanely, how is that actually going to happen? Because if they're saying we will never allow them into our land unless, they are of like a certain substance, then what's going to happen if there's a whole pile that do come in that they said that they will never let in? It can open up a whole another box of... I'm getting everything wrong. Box of worms? No. Oh, I give up.
Can of worms or a Pandora's box.
Oh my word! This podcast, I get very tongue-tied, especially near the end of it. So I will leave it on that. So I think the legislation, okay, part of it, sure, but how do you actually make that actually happen? It's a completely different thing, and that's why some human rights organization has said, well, what happens? Like how are you actually going to make it happen?
Yeah,
I'm done. Sorry.
I'm done.
I'm done with my box of worms. Yes. Final thoughts.
Yeah.
Or final little section.
Yeah.
Because we are on 44 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's maybe too little too late. And I think it is going to get worse. And
are we saying like in the whole of Europe?
I think so, yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, I really don't know how they're going to curb it, and it will be very interesting to see, because this is just going to be ongoing all the time. So, yeah, I really have I'm not going to be able to change it. But
no, obviously.
So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think. I don't think Europe can handle the crisis personally. And
Yeah, I mean, and it just makes you think. Obviously, there are illegal, migrants coming in to America, but you're not going to find them coming in boats. I think,
no.
I think the majority are coming by land.
Correct.
And in fact, I actually, how about like a lighter end? Do you remember the news report that it was on Fox News? This is quite a long time ago, where they basically said they had this whole thing on how illegal immigrants from South Africa were crossing the border into America. I don't know if you remember that.
Which border?
Just any border. They were
Oh,
basically saying that that people from South Africa were somehow going through the whole of Africa, over the oceans, all the way into America, which obviously they
wow.
basically just got their names and everything else mixed up. But it was that got a lot of memes and a lot of things going on. But I mean, obviously that is Fox News and it is America in itself. But that was a little bit of an entertaining. I don't remember like exactly when or how or what. But they made a little bit of a faux pas. But it made the news. And it was like,
Okay.
I don't know how that's even possible to cross. And they were saying like by land, by the way. So
Well,
yes,
South Africans, man, make things happen, bro.
you make a plan, eh?
Oh,
We make a plan.
we make a plan, yeah.
We'll make a plan. We're gonna come across your boat. Yeah, and I don't think they could handle South Africans on that side. But
No.
well, thank you for the idea of the topic. And as you say, I think this will be a topic for the rest of our lives, unless something
Yeah.
changes in the future somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the only way that this will stop happening is that we will have happy, thriving, rich economies in every single country in the world, and that's not going to happen.
Nope.
So there will probably be immigrant stories, and in fact, you know what? Even if you go all the way back to the Bible times, there were migrants. There were, there were multiple immigrants. There were multiple what could be used now as illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Crossing from one country into another country. So this has been going on, since ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's definitely not going to go away. I would love to say it'll go away, but unfortunately not. Yeah, unfortunately not. Okay.
Cool. That was a good discussion, man. I enjoyed that.
Cool. Yeah, cool. It was good. It was good. But this is there's a really good movie out there. Oh, I don't know if you can call it good. Well, it's good in the way that it's been shot and how it's been filmed. I'll put a link under this under this video, but I think it's called Migrant. No, I don't think it's called Migrant, but it's about an hour and a half, and it's filmed by a documentary maker, and the majority of it it's not spoken. It's just going through. It's just walking through with a bunch of migrant trains. Just moving between where they're from and where they're going to, and the reactions of each country. That it is. I mean, look, it's a few years old, but it still makes the point, and it's very powerful. So yeah, I'll put it underneath this video in one of the links.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
Smashing.
Lekker. Sweet.
Wonderful. Kif.
Super.
Lekker.
Shall I do the ending? Yes.
You know what? Do the ending, Bruce. We're all waiting for it.
Just for a segue. This has been the Spaghetti Junction podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. And we will catch you guys in the next one.
See you later, people.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. You thought I pressed start, didn't you?
Oh, look at you.
Goodbye.